The rain hammered against the bulletproof windows of the penthouse office on the 72nd floor of the Castellano Tower in Manhattan. Vincent Marino sat behind his mahogany desk, fingers drumming impatiently against the Italian leather armrest of his chair. At 38, he was the youngest head of the Marino crime family in 3 generations, and the most dangerous. The door opened. Another therapist. The 5th one in 3 months. Vincent didn't look up from the file he was pretending to read. This whole therapy thing was a joke, a requirement from his lawyer after the incident at the Brooklyn warehouse. Anger management, they called it. He called it a waste of his time. Marco, his right-hand man, cleared his throat from the doorway. "Your 4 o'clock is here, boss. Send them in," Vincent muttered, still not looking up. He expected another middle-aged man in a cheap suit, trembling hands, rehearse speeches about feelings and childhood trauma. What he got was Dr. Elena Rossi. She walked in like she owned the place. Mid-30s, dark hair pulled back in a professional bun, sharp gray eyes that swept the room with clinical precision. She wore a navy blazer and carried a simple leather notebook. No trembling, no fear, no excessive politeness. "Mr. Marino," she said, her voice steady and clear. "I'm Dr. Rossi. Shall we begin?" Vincent finally looked up, one eyebrow raised. "You know who I am? I know exactly who you are. That's why I'm here." She sat down in the chair across from him without waiting for permission, crossed her legs, and opened her notebook. "The question is, do you know why you're here?" A slow smile spread across Vincent's face. "Dangerous. Amused. My lawyer seems to think I have anger issues." "And do you?" Vincent leaned back in his chair, studying her. The last therapist had lasted 20 minutes before making an excuse about a family emergency. The one before that made it to the second session before mysteriously canceling all future appointments. Dr. Patricia Chun, the first one, had been good, professional, but even she couldn't handle more than 3 sessions before requesting a transfer to another client. "I don't have anger issues, Dr. Rossi. I have people issues. People who don't listen. People who betray trust. People who waste my time." Elena wrote something in her notebook. "Interesting. So when you put a man in the hospital last month, that was about him wasting your time?" Vincent's jaw tightened. "You don't know what you're talking about. I know that Anthony Greco worked for your family for 15 years. I know he embezzled $200,000. I know you broke his jaw, 3 ribs, and his left arm before your associates pulled you off him." She looked up from her notes, meeting his eyes without flinching. "I also know that you could have killed him, but you didn't. That shows restraint. The question is why you lost control in the first place." The room fell silent except for the rain. Marco shifted uncomfortably by the door. Nobody talked to Vincent Marino like this. Nobody. Vincent stood up slowly, buttoning his suit jacket. "This session is over." Elena didn't move. "We have 53 minutes left." I said we're done. She closed her notebook with a soft snap and stood, but she didn't head for the door. Instead, she stepped closer, invading the careful distance everyone maintained around him. "Mr. Marino, I'm going to tell you something that no one else has probably had the courage to say. You're not here because you're a monster. You're here because somewhere underneath all this power and violence, there's a part of you that's terrified of becoming your father." Vincent's hand shot out, grabbing the edge of his desk so hard his knuckles went white. "Get out." But Elena saw it. The flash of pain in his eyes. The crack in the armor. "I'll be back next Thursday at 4, she said calmly, gathering her things. "And Mr. Marino? The only way this works is if you stop treating these sessions like a business transaction. You can't intimidate your way out of your own mind." She walked to the door, paused, and looked back. "Oh, and for what it's worth, Anthony Greco's daughter is 8 years old. She wrote you a letter asking why her daddy can't throw a baseball with her anymore. It's in your mail. Maybe read it before our next session." Then she was gone. Marco stared at his boss, waiting for the explosion. Vincent Marino didn't tolerate disrespect. He didn't tolerate people digging into his past. He especially didn't tolerate people mentioning his father. But Vincent just stood there, staring at the closed door, his breathing heavy. "Find out everything about Dr. Elena Rossi," he said quietly. "Everything. Marco nodded and left. Vincent walked to the window, looking out at the city lights blinking through the rain. His reflection stared back at him, and for just a moment, he saw his father's face instead of his own. He picked up his phone and dialed his assistant. "Find Anthony Greco's letter. Bring it to me." Then he poured himself a scotch and waited for Thursday. Thursday came faster than Vincent expected. He had read the letter 3 times. The child's handwriting was shaky, innocent. She asked if her daddy had done something bad to make the scary man so angry. She said she missed playing catch. She said she forgave him, whoever he was. Vincent burned the letter in his fireplace and tried to forget it. He couldn't. Dr. Rossi arrived exactly at 4. Same navy blazer, same composed expression, same fearless walk into his office. But this time Vincent was ready. "You had no right to bring up my father," he said before she even sat down. Elena settled into her chair, unruffled. "I had every right. It's my job to identify the root of your behavioral patterns. Your father died when you were 16, murdered by a rival family. You took over at 23, younger than anyone expected. You've spent 15 years proving you're nothing like him, yet everything you do screams his name." Vincent's fist slammed on the desk. "You don't know anything about my father. I know he was brutal. I know he ruled through fear and violence. I know he never showed you affection, only discipline. And I know that the night he died, you were the one who found his body." Elena's voice softened slightly. "That kind of trauma doesn't just disappear, Vincent. It builds walls. Don't call me Vincent. It's Mr. Marino to you." Elena tilted her head. "Why? Because first names imply familiarity? Connection? That's exactly what you're afraid of." Vincent stood abruptly, pacing to the window. His hands were shaking. He hated that she could see it. "Every therapist before you knew when to stop pushing. They knew boundaries. And every therapist before me failed you," Elena countered. "They let you hide. They let you play the part of the untouchable mafia boss who doesn't need help. But you do need help, Vincent. You're drowning in your own anger, and everyone around you is just waiting for you to explode again." He spun around, eyes blazing. "You think you're so smart? You think you can fix me with your psychology degree and your clever observations? I've buried people for less disrespect than you've shown me in 2 sessions." Elena stood, meeting his intensity with calm resolve. "Then bury me. But before you do, ask yourself why you haven't already. Why you let me come back today. Why you actually read that little girl's letter when you could have thrown it away." Vincent's jaw clenched. His breathing was rapid, his control slipping. Marco appeared in the doorway, hand inside his jacket. Ready. But Elena didn't break eye contact. She didn't back down. "You want to know why you lost control with Anthony? Because he represented everything you fear. Betrayal, weakness, loss of power. The same things that destroyed your father. You're not angry at the people who cross you, Vincent. You're angry at yourself for caring enough to feel betrayed in the first place. Get out," Vincent whispered, his voice dangerous and low. Elena gathered her notebook. "Same time next week." "There won't be a next week." She smiled sadly. "Yes, there will. Because deep down you want someone to finally see you. Not the boss. Not the monster. Just you." The door closed behind her. Vincent stood alone in his office, chest heaving, walls closing in. Vincent didn't sleep for 3 nights. Elena's words echoed in his mind like a curse he couldn't shake. He canceled 2 important meetings, snapped at Marco over nothing, and found himself staring at his father's old photograph in the study at 3 in the morning. By Wednesday, he made a decision. He called Dr. Rossi's office. "Cancel tomorrow's appointment," he told her assistant. But when Thursday at 4 o'clock arrived, Vincent was sitting in his office, waiting. He didn't understand why. His hand hovered over the phone to call security, to have her turned away at the lobby. The door opened. Elena walked in. "I canceled," Vincent said flatly. "I know. I came anyway." She sat down, opened her notebook. "Because I think we're finally getting somewhere." Vincent laughed bitterly. "Getting somewhere? You've done nothing but insult me, dig into my past, and cross every line a therapist shouldn't cross. Exactly. Elena leaned forward. Every other therapist treated you like a client. I'm treating you like a human being. And you hate it because no one has done that in years. Silence filled the room. Vincent's mask was cracking, and they both knew it. Why do you keep coming back? He asked quietly. You know what I am. What I'm capable of. Elena met his eyes. Because I see what you don't. I see a man who carries the weight of an empire on his shoulders. A man who never had a choice about the life he inherited. A man who punishes others because he's never forgiven himself for not saving his father. Vincent's hands gripped the armrests. You don't know what that night was like. Then tell me. And for the first time in 22 years, Vincent Marino began to talk. Not about business. Not about power. About the blood. The silence. The way his father's eyes stared at nothing. The way he held the body and screamed for help that never came. Elena listened. She didn't interrupt. Didn't judge. Just listened. When he finished, his voice was hoarse. His eyes were wet, though no tears fell. That's why you lose control, Elena said softly. You're still that 16-year-old boy, helpless and angry. Every betrayal takes you back to that moment. Every loss of control is you trying to rewrite that night. Vincent looked up at her. So what do? You start by forgiving yourself. By understanding that you were a child. That what happened wasn't your fault. And by letting someone in even just a little bit. If you're rooting for Vincent to finally break free from his past, take a moment and subscribe to the channel. Because what happens next changes everything. The real transformation is just beginning. Vincent stood, walked to his desk drawer and pulled out a file. It was Elena's background check. Every detail of her life. He handed it to her. I know you lost your husband 3 years ago. Cancer. I know you threw yourself into work to cope. I know you take cases everyone else refuses because you understand brokenness. Elena took the file unsurprised. We're more alike than you thought. Vincent nodded slowly. Same time next week, Dr. Rossi? Same time, she replied. The sessions became routine. Every Thursday at 4, Elena arrived, and Vincent talked. Really talked. About his mother who died when he was 7. About the pressure of the family business. About the men he'd hurt and the choices that haunted him at night. Marco noticed the change first. The boss was calmer. Still dangerous, still sharp, but the explosive rage had dimmed. Vincent started asking questions before throwing punches. He delegated more. He even visited Anthony Greco in the hospital, leaving an envelope with enough money to cover medical bills and his daughter's college fund. 3 months into therapy, everything changed. Vincent arrived at the session to find Elena with a black eye, poorly covered with makeup. He was across the room in 2 strides. Who did this? Elena tried to wave him off. It's nothing. An ex-boyfriend who doesn't understand the word no. Vincent's blood turned to ice. His name. Now, Vincent, this isn't your problem to solve. The hell it isn't. His voice was steel. You've spent months teaching me to control my anger, to channel it properly. Well, I'm channeling it right now. His name. Elena looked at him, seeing the concern beneath the fury. David Morrison. He's been following me for weeks. Last night he showed up at my apartment. When I wouldn't let him in, he forced his way through and grabbed me. Vincent pulled out his phone. Marco appeared within minutes. Find David Morrison. Bring him to the warehouse. Don't touch him. That's for me. Elena stood quickly. Vincent, no. This is exactly what we've been working against. You can't solve everything with violence. Watch me. He headed for the door. She grabbed his arm. The first time she'd ever touched him. Vincent, please. If you do this, you're proving that nothing has changed. That all our work meant nothing. He turned, conflicted. She's asking me to let someone who hurt her just walk away? I'm asking you to trust the system. To file a police report with me. To let the law handle it. She held his gaze. I'm asking you to prove that you're not your father. That you can protect people without destroying them. Vincent stood frozen. Every instinct screaming at him to find Morrison and make him disappear. But Elena's eyes held him there, challenging him, believing in him. He took a slow breath. Cancelled the call to Marco. All right, we do it your way. Over the next 2 weeks, Vincent helped Elena file charges, hired the best lawyers, ensured Morrison was prosecuted to the fullest extent. He used his connections, but legally. No threats, no violence, just power wielded precisely. When Morrison was sentenced to 3 years, Elena looked at Vincent with something new in her eyes. Pride. You did it, she said softly. You chose differently. Vincent smiled, a real smile, because I had a good teacher. But as she packed her notebook that Thursday, he stopped her. Elena, I need to tell you something. These sessions, they've become more than therapy for me. She turned, and he saw in her expression that she knew, that she felt it too. Vincent, we can't. Professional boundaries exist for a reason. I know, he said quietly, but for the first time in my life, I'm willing to risk everything for something real. Elena stood in the doorway of Vincent's office, her notebook clutched against her chest like a shield. This is exactly why therapists have boundaries, Vincent. What you're feeling, it's transference. You're projecting your need for connection onto me because I'm the first person who's truly listened to you. Don't do that, Vincent said, his voice low. Don't reduce what I feel to some textbook definition. I know the difference between gratitude and something real. And what happens when you get angry? When we have our first real disagreement? Do I become just another person who betrayed you? Elena's voice cracked slightly. I've seen your file, Vincent. I know what you're capable of. The words hung between them like a knife. Vincent walked to the window, his back to her. 6 months ago, you would have been right. 6 months ago, I would have been the worst thing that could happen to you. But I'm not that man anymore. He turned to face her. You helped me become someone different. Someone who wants to be better, not just for the family or the business, but for himself. Elena set her notebook down, her professional armor finally cracking. My licensing board would revoke my credentials. My entire career, everything I've built since losing Michael, it would all be gone. Then I'll walk away, Vincent said immediately. Right now. I'll find another therapist. I'll never contact you again. But I needed you to know that you changed my life. That for the first time since I was 16 years old, I feel like I can breathe. Tears welled in Elena's eyes. She thought of her late husband, of the 3 years she'd spent in grief, burying herself in work, taking impossible cases, keeping everyone at arm's length. And she thought of Vincent, this complicated, damaged, surprisingly gentle man who had somehow slipped past every defense she'd built. I can't be your therapist anymore, she finally said. Vincent nodded, accepting it. I understand. But Elena stepped closer. I didn't say I couldn't be something else. His eyes widened. What are you saying? I'm saying that I'll refer you to Dr. Richard Chun, an excellent therapist who specializes in trauma. I'm saying that I'll file the proper paperwork to terminate our professional relationship. She took another step. And I'm saying that in 30 days, when the ethical waiting period is over, you should call me. Not as a patient, as Vincent, just Vincent. A smile spread across his face, genuine and unguarded. 30 days? 30 days, she confirmed. And Vincent, if you revert back to your old ways, if you hurt someone out of anger, if you become the man you were before we started this journey, I'm gone. No second chances. He took her hand carefully, like she was something precious. I promise you, Elena, those days are over. She squeezed his hand back. Then I'll see you in 30 days. As she left his office for the last time as his therapist, Vincent stood at the window watching the city lights. Marco entered cautiously. Boss, everything okay? Vincent smiled. Yeah, Marco. For the first time in a long time, everything's exactly where it should be. 2 years later, the charity gala at the Metropolitan Museum was in full swing. Vincent Marino stood at the edge of the grand hall, watching the crowd with the same analytical gaze he'd always had, but with something different behind his eyes. Peace. Elena appeared at his side, radiant in a midnight blue gown, her hand slipping naturally into his. She wore a simple diamond ring on her left hand. You're brooding again, she teased gently. Vincent smiled. Just thinking about how different life looks from here. The Marino family had transformed. Vincent had slowly shifted the legitimate businesses to the forefront, distancing himself from the violent operations his father had built. It wasn't easy. Some of the old guard resisted, but Vincent had learned patience, strategy, negotiation. Tools Elena had helped him discover he possessed. Marco approached with Anthony Greco beside him. Anthony walked with a slight limp but smiled warmly. "Boss, the donation just cleared. 200,000 to the Youth Rehabilitation Program." Vincent shook Anthony's hand. The same amount he'd stolen, now going to help kids escape the life they'd both known. "Your daughter still playing baseball?" Vincent asked. Anthony beamed. "Shortstop, best on her team. She asks about you sometimes. Says you're the man who gave my dad a second chance." After they walked away, Elena leaned into Vincent. "I'm proud of you. Every single day. I'm proud of the man you've become." Vincent turned to her, cupping her face gently. "I couldn't have done any of this without you. You saw something in me when everyone else, including myself, only saw a monster. You were never a monster, Vincent. Just a man who needed someone brave enough to break the boundaries." Dr. Richard Chun appeared, greeting them warmly. Vincent had continued therapy with him, working through layers of trauma, learning healthier coping mechanisms. The work never stopped, but Vincent had learned that healing wasn't a destination. It was a journey. As the evening wound down, Vincent and Elena stood on the museum steps, looking out at the city. "Sometimes I still can't believe you said yes when I proposed," Vincent admitted. Elena laughed. "You're a mafia boss who goes to therapy twice a month, runs legitimate businesses, and cries during romantic movies. How could I say no?" "Former mafia boss," he corrected with a grin. She kissed him softly. "Former or current, you're mine." As they walked to the car, Vincent thought about the scared, angry man he'd been. The one who couldn't make it past session 3 with any therapist. The one who solved every problem with his fists. That man was gone. In his place stood someone stronger. Someone who'd learned that real power wasn't about control or fear. It was about vulnerability, growth, and having the courage to change. Thank you for watching this incredible journey of transformation and love. If the story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below telling us what kind of story you'd like to see next. Should we explore more tales of redemption, unexpected romance, second chances? Your suggestions inspire our next videos. Until next time, remember that it's never too late to become the person you were meant to be. We'll see you in the next story.